Hello, my dear friends. How have you all been? All good? Can I say some good morning? Can I see some good morning, guys? Come on, come on. Sneha, Kesarla, Badrul, Harshita. Good morning, guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's a good morning. Good morning. It's a good morning. Correct. Okay, guys. So, yesterday we started registration, and today we are going to complete registration, right? So, we started 22-24, where we understood that there are few sections that specifically tell us, Shiva Shakti, that specifically tell us that okay, this is the time when you are liable to register. Second, you have section 30. Second, you have section 30. So section 30, my dear friends, is you have section 23 that talks about exemption from registration. You have section 25 which talks about procedure of registration. You have section 26 which talks about deemed registration. Section 27 which talks about NRTP and CTP. NRTP and CTP. And then 28 is amendment in registration. Amendment in registration. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Okay, guys. Now it's very important, it's extremely important, my dear friends, okay, that you do section 29 and 30. Let's quickly wrap it up. Section 29, my dear friends, is cancellation of registration. Kesarla, it's cancellation of registration. Did you get it? Yes. I'm all good, Sneha. I'm all good, Sneha. I'm all good. Yeah. Okay. Sure, done. Now understand one thing, my dear friends. When it comes to cancellation of registration, okay, there are two people. One is section 29(1) and the other is section 29(2). Okay. Understand one thing, my dear friends, that registration can happen because of two major reasons. Okay, 29(1), 29(2), 29(1), 29(2). Okay, when it comes to 29(1), okay, now what is 29(1)? On the application made by registered person. Okay, now understand one thing very clearly, my dear friends. When the application is made by registered person himself, right? When the application is made by registered person himself, concept is very, very clear, my dear friends, that which are the reasons why cancellation can happen. Very simple. I want to discontinue my business, right? I will cancel the registration. Otherwise, I'll have to keep filing nil returns. And if I don't file nil returns, I will be subject to late fee. So might as well close it once and for all. Second, transferred fully, okay, by the reason of death, merger, amalgamation, demerger, right? So yesterday only we discussed specifically in case of Jethalal. Well, Jethalal wants to, transfer his business to, let's say, for example, Trip. In that case, Jethalal will have to, cancel the registration. Or let's say A Limited and B Limited would want to now merge into AB Limited. Then in that case, A and B will have to cancel their RC and AB Limited will have to take a fresh RC. Okay. Then, my dear friends, if, okay, you change the constitution. So initially you are a firm, now you are a private limited. Now from private limited, you are a public limited. Your PAN changes every time you change your structures. Your PAN changes every time you change your structure. So this kind of amendment can now, okay, not be seen in section 28 but in section 29. Okay, then taxable person, okay, no longer liable to register under 22 or 24. Taxable person no longer liable to register under section 22 or 24. What do you mean by that? Supplier of taxable goods or service is exempt from now. So initially what used to happen is I was supplying mobiles. And mobile is subject to 12% GST. But understand one thing, my dear friends. Let's say government comes up with a scheme that mobiles are exempted from GST. Do you realize after this exemption notification is notified, will I ever collect GST? No. Will I ever pay GST? No. Simple. In that case, I am no longer supposed to pay GST, file returns, nothing doing. So now, why will I keep my registration open? Why will I keep my registration alive? I will cancel my RC. Is that very clear? Correct. Okay. So that's it. Next, my dear friends, is okay. A person who intends to opt out of voluntary registration. ठीक है? So I had taken voluntary registration, but now I want to really opt out of it. I have taken the voluntary registration, but I really want to opt out of it. Got it? I want to opt out of it. Now I no more want the voluntary registration. Right? I'm done with my business and I'm done with everything. I want to get out of it. I can cancel my RC. See? So this is clearly a very important question, my dear friends, which can be asked in the exam, wherein the question can be asked, give me 4 reasons why a registered person will cancel his RC. You need to write them all. Okay, they're very simple. I don't think there's anything difficult out here. Okay, I don't think there's anything difficult out here. So make sure it is very clear. Okay. Okay. Next, my dear friends, is 29 subsection 2. Cancellation done by proper officer. Okay. Cancellation done by proper officer. Now, when will proper officer be so aggravated, be so annoyed that your RC will be cancelled? Right. The first thing is if you do any contraventions. If you do any contraventions of a particular section of the act or particular rules, you're gone. Now understand, this cannot be any and every contravention that can result into cancellation. There are certain notified contraventions. Which government has specifically said, and only if you contravene these will that result into cancellation. Right? तो हर जुर्म संगीन जुर्म नहीं होता. Not every crime is a heinous crime. Right? Few crimes are okay, not so serious, not so heinous. Government said that's fine. So only these crimes will be subject to cancellation of RC. Government has the right then to cancel the RC. Point number 1. Doesn't conduct business from declared place of business. So you have said that you are conducting business from Mumbai, but you are actually conducting business from Pune. Done. You qualify where your RC can be cancelled. Issues invoice without supply of goods or service. So I'm issuing invoice, but obviously, as you know, that invoice is issued in movement of goods only when there is removal. So I am not removing goods, but I am issuing invoice. So on the books, I am showing that I have sold the goods, but in actual, I have not done any dealing, any transaction. Third, violates either Rule 10A, 86B, 171, Section 16. So 86B we've already done, guys. Okay. Can anyone tell me what is Rule 86B? What is Rule 86B? We did it in payment of tax. Small hint, we did it in payment of tax. 86B. Just write down thoda sa. Tell me, what is 86B? Yes, absolutely right, Kesar. I'm so happy. Looks like Kesarla is now determined to, just pass anyhow. Right? Fantastic, Kesarla. That's absolutely correct. 86B, my dear friends, is when you can only use 99% of your ITC, especially when your taxable supplies in a particular month exceed 50 lakhs. Right? Unless you fall under the exception. Right? Rule 10A is what we will learn now. Okay. Section 171. What is section 171, guys? It is Anti-Profiteering Act. Okay. It is basically section 171 is Anti-Profiteering Act. Now, what does this mean? Okay, anti-profiteering section. So, for example, let's say, MACD hai. So, let's say the restaurants initially were subject to selling price of 100 rupees. And let's say, okay, including VAT and service tax, it was like 25%. So, it was 125. Let's say, okay, and then government came up with GST. Right, where restaurants were only subject to a GST of 5%, 105. Correct. Now understand that since government has reduced the tax from 25 to 5, it should clearly be reflected in the prices. Only then the benefit will also go to the consumer. But what these smart traders, started doing is that since you are already aware, since you are already aware that the consumer is habituated in paying 125, now he does not follow any notifications of the government. So what did MACD do? Instead of doing this, okay, MACD did something like this: selling price, GST. So they kept this figure 125 one and the same, and they did backward calculation, right? So they did something like this. Got it? So what happened is, my dear friends, that here they increased their margin significantly. Initially they are taking home 100 rupees, now they are taking home 120 rupees, right? And they kept this price one and the same. So the reduction in tax, the benefit was not passed on to the consumer, it was rather pocketed by the supplier himself. Okay, then how can you say अच्छे दिन आएंगे? Because अच्छे दिन महसूस ही नहीं करवाया आपने consumer को. Okay, the good days were never experienced by the consumers. So how will they ever feel that the good days have come? So in such cases, my dear friends, government says that listen, whenever there is a reduction of tax, you need to reduce your prices. That should be reflected in your prices. If it is not done, then listen, boss, I am definitely doing one thing. Okay, triggering section 171, okay, which has a lot of penalty clauses, but apart from penalty, you are also subject to, okay, cancelling RC. And okay, understand one thing: if a trader, manufacturer, service provider, if he gets the notice of cancellation of RC, his heartbeat will, his heartbeat spikes will hit the roof, better. It will hit the roof. Because understand that he will go mad. His entire costing, okay, will go for a toss. His entire costing will go for a toss, guys. And I'll tell you why. Simply because, understand, his cost was, okay, while he was paying 118, his cost was 100 before. Now his cost will be 118. So it will be a direct 18% impact on his margins. Clearly not happening. He will not get ITC when he's unregistered, and which is why, my dear friends, he will be afraid of the fact that his RC is being cancelled, because his entire costing will go for a toss. Okay? Next, Section 16 of ITC, definitely you know 16.1, 16.2, 16.3, 16.4, right? 16 A, double A, B, bar, C, D. You know that up. You know that up, my dear friends. Okay, perfect. And the last is details of outward supply in GSTR1 are greater than outward supplies declared by him in GSTR, okay, 3B, that is section 39. Okay, so my dear friends, when I talk about section 39, okay, understand one thing. So if you are doing any transactions in the month of April, right? If you're doing any transactions in the month of April, okay, it can be either purchase or sale. You have to show that in your return in the month of May. So from 1st से लेके 11th April, from 1st से लेके 11th April, my dear friends, understand one thing. You will declare all your outward supplies in GSTR1. Then, okay, on 14th, I'm so sorry, this is 14th, 11th May, okay, my bad. On 14th May, I can see, okay, my report of inward supplies, where I can see GSTR2B. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Where you can see GSTR2B. And the last is 20th May. Where you can see GSTR 3B. Outward supplies, output tax, inward supplies, input tax credit, and finally you can see the net tax payable. Is that very clear, guys? Is that very clear? Yes. Okay. So that's all I want. That's all I want. That's all I want. Okay. So what government says is that, listen, your outward supplies in GSTR1 that you showed on 1 से लेके 11 मई should definitely coincide with the outward supplies and output tax that you are showing in GSTR3B, that is under section 39. Now what people used to do is, people used to show your proper outward supplies. Let's say they used to show your proper, जो अगर 10 लाख का सेल किया, 10 लाख outward supply, GST 1 lakh, okay. But understand one thing, my dear friends, the reason why they used to do is so that recipient के 2B में क्या है वो आ जाएगा. So it will, so the recipients 2B shall get the data. So if I have sold goods to Kesarla, I will show all that supplies genuine sales in 1, which will be reflected in recipients 2B, so that recipient gets ITC and he does not call me or she does not call me saying, sir, I gave you the tax, but you have not showed in your GSTR1, so I am not able to see that in my GSTR2B. So even though I have paid input tax, I am not able to get ITC. Now here the recipient, if the recipient gets to know this, that I have not paid tax, he will not purchase from me from the next time. So what I do in GSTR1, I show it. So it is reflected in its 2B. But when it comes to actually payment of tax, right, in 3B, where I have to write the summary, okay, I have to punch the summary by hand, right, simple. I will intentionally, okay, quote lesser value of supplies. Instead of 10, I will only show 5 lakhs and pay tax on 5 lakhs. And I will pay tax on lesser liability, correct? Now if that scenario happens, my dear friends, all I want to tell you is that Government caught hold of that, and government said this is enough reason for me to tell you that you are a cheater. You showed 10 lakhs in GSTR 1, then how all of a sudden you are showing 5 lakhs in GSTR 3B? The only intention is to pay lesser liability than what you have actually collected, right? Now government does not want to entertain such cheaters, and which is why they have directly told that boss, you will be subject to cancellation of RC. Simple. Okay. Yes. While we are doing this, we'll also wrap up rule 10A. So guys, what was a norm before was, so the norm before was very simple, that if you are applying for RC, you need to give your bank details while you are applying for RC. But a lot of times it used to happen that understand that I want to apply for RC and I have purchased goods on credit, so I don't have to pay money there, but I have purchased goods, so the invoices are already there. Understand that in that case I have to make sure that the invoice date is after I am registered. Now a lot of times what happens is, to open a bank account, it really takes a lot of time. So what happens is, my dear friends, that become a registered person, I have to also open my bank account. Now to open a bank account is a different hassle altogether. Give this document, that document. So government said, listen, do one thing, boss. You take registration. You don't need to furnish your bank details at the time of registration. You take registration first, and within 45 days from the date of grant of your RC, within 45 days from the date of grant of your RC or the due date of furnishing return, whichever is earlier, you give me your bank details. So for example, if April is the month where I am liable to register, let's say let's say on 10th April I am liable to register, right? And on, let's say, 17th April, 10th April, I'm so sorry, and 17th April I have got my RC. So now I will do two things. I will count 45 days from here. So that is one date that I will get clearly. And the second date will be that, April का GSTR 3B कब फाइल होगा? When will I file GSTR 3B for the month of April, guys? Correct. 20th May. Got it? That's the reason. That's the entire scenario. So 20th May or 45 days from 17th April. Whichever is earlier. Got it? Whichever is earlier. So make sure that this is very clear. You file the details and that'll be enough. तो इतने टाइम के अंदर कर देना, वरना योर RC will be cancelled. Next, my dear friends, is that in case you don't file returns, so you're supplying goods and service but you don't file returns, so that you eventually don't pay tax. So in a composition dealer, there are two types of taxpayers: composition taxpayer and normal taxpayer. In case of composition taxpayer, government said that beyond 3 months from the due date of furnishing return. Beyond 3 months from the due date of furnishing return. So what do I mean by that? Very simple. So for example, for F5 23-24, the due date of a compo taxpayer to file GSTR 4, right, which is basically now on annual basis, will be 30th April 2024. Okay? Now understand, 3 months from this, so that's May, June, July, 30th July. 2024. So if I file return within this time, fair enough. If I delay even more than 3 months, then definitely my RC can be cancelled. You can write these examples to understand, to take a better understanding of things, guys. This is also a very recent amendment, okay, that you need to take care of. This is a very recent amendment, guys. Okay, take care of that. Okay, don't forget this. This can be asked in the exam. Okay, it's a good amendment. Next, normal taxpayer. So in case of normal taxpayer, if you are a monthly filer, so as I said, there are two schemes, guys. There is MRMP scheme, and then there is QRMP scheme. MRMP is monthly return, monthly payment, monthly return, monthly payment, monthly return, monthly payment. QRMP is, okay, quarterly return, monthly payment, quarterly return, monthly payment, quarterly return, monthly payment. So if your monthly return, monthly payment, this applicable to you. That is, you have to file for a continuous 6 months. You need to, if you don't file, if you don't land up filing for a continuous 6 months, let's say April, May, June, July, August, September, you don't file, government can cancel your IRC. Simple. Next, quarterly return file nahi kiya hai. Understood? So understand, April, May, June, I am supposed to pay, file 3B or GST R1 for that matter. When? Correct. 13th June or 22nd or 24th June, right? Now understand, if I have not done that for continuous 2 quarters, which also happens to be 6 months, so continuous 2 quarters bola hai yahan pe. 2 tax period is 2 quarters, right? Again, RC can be cancelled, right? Next, if you are a person, okay, who has taken registration by the way of fraud, willful misstatement, yeah, suppression of facts, simple. In that case, my dear friends, RC will be cancelled, right? Correct. Now, friends, we need to just dig deeper into the procedure of how RC is cancelled. Let's do this. So, when you as a registered person want to cancel RC, so either of these events have got triggered. Either you have discontinued business, you have merged it, you have demerged it, either there is death or there is change in the constitution of your firm. That event is triggered. Within 30 days of the event, you apply for cancellation. Within 30 days of that event, you apply for cancellation, right? And once you apply for cancellation, okay, so from there, within 30 days, your RC will be cancelled. So let's say an event triggers on 1/4, you apply for cancellation by 1/5. Let's say you applied on 1/5, then by, okay, 31/5, your RC will be cancelled. Don't worry. Okay, done. Next, sorted. When it comes to proper officer, what if proper officer wants to cancel your RC? Very simple. First, proper officer issues SCN as to why your RC should not be cancelled. Show me the cause. Show me the cause. Okay, that why should your RC not be cancelled? Because according to me, you have done this crime, and according to me, you are supposed to cancel your RC, right? So tell me why I shouldn't cancel your RC. Show me the cause. I have to reply within 7 days of the notice. Okay, very simple. Within 7 days of service of notice. Then once I have filed the reply, proper officer will review my reply, right? And obviously, okay, if it is satisfactory, they will drop the proceedings. If it is not satisfactory, they will pass cancellation order within 30 days of receipt of such, okay, reply of such SCA. Okay, so within 30 days, okay, they will either drop the proceedings or go ahead and pass the order. Okay, so that is procedure of cancellation. Now understand that while the procedure of cancellation is on, okay, there are two major things that I want to talk about, okay, with respect to suspension of RC. Now, why is this concept bought altogether? Why is this concept bought altogether? Because understand, it's very important, my dear friends, okay, to understand why was this concept introduced, right? What led to the introduction of this concept, right? Because this is the last, this is the last aspect to be covered under section 29. Got it? Now, what is suspension, right? What do you mean by suspension, right? So that here is clearly given here, my dear friends, in these two lines. What happens when suspension triggers? What happens, guys? Just read it, and I'll just come and fill my water bottle. Just a second, guys. Correct? Now tell me, what is suspension? So I'll tell you one thing, understand that if I have, as you could see, that let's say, for example, we'll take two timelines, right? Timeline number 1, timeline number 2, right? So I have applied for my RC on 1/4. I applied for RC. Okay, I applied for my RC. Now the thing is, my RC got cancelled on 1/5 within 30 days. Okay. Question is, what about this period from 1/4 to 1/5? What about this period, guys? Tell me. क्या होगा? Tell. Very simple, my dear friends. During this period, right, when I have applied for RC but I have not received cancellation order, so I have applied for RC but my RC is not cancelled yet, this period is called suspension period, where our RC is suspended. Got it? Now in this period, okay, government said that, listen, you cannot make taxable supplies, you cannot file returns, you cannot collect GST. Simple. You cannot collect GST. So no filing of returns, no making taxable supplies, no charging GST, nothing doing. Okay, you cannot even issue tax invoice. Nothing doing. Right? Consider as if you are an unregistered person only. Okay? That's it. So, where does the suspension begin? The suspension begins the date when you applied for. And once the cancellation order is passed, that suspension is revoked and it is replaced by cancellation. So 1/4 says your suspension हुआ था, that gets revoked, and 1/4 say now cancellation comes into effect. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Okay, is that very clear, my dear friends? Tell me one thing. Tell me, friends. Tell me, friends. Arre, tell me, friends. Tell me, friends. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes, sir. Okay, correct. Now, with respect to that only, I wanted to make a comment that listen, when does RC get suspended? So either when, so there are three reasons why RC can be suspended. Either when RP has himself applied for cancellation under 29(1), okay, or either when proper officer has cancelled RC of PO under section 29(2) or with respect to rule 21. So all these cases are under rule 21. The contraventions that are mentioned, no, from year to year, they are all covered under rule 21. Okay, the contraventions mentioned under rule 21. So either you are cancelled under 29(2) वाले cases या फिर rule 21 के तहत जो आपका cancellation हुआ है वो. And the last is, my dear friends, what? That RC can also be suspended by proper officer. Okay, RC can also be suspended by the proper officer where there is a comparison of, understand, now if RC compares, okay, sorry, I'm so sorry, if proper officer compares, that, listen boss, okay, your data in 3B, which by the way is summary of output tax and ITC, does not match with output tax of 1 and ITC of 2B, output tax of 1 and input tax credit of 2B, it does not match. There are a lot of differences, anomalies. Okay, so whatever ITC you have, you should have taken 10 lakhs, you have taken 15 lakhs. Your output tax looks like 20 lakhs, but it is, okay, you have shown as 20 lakhs, but it's actually 25 lakhs. There are significant differences, significant anomalies. Government can definitely suspend your RC. Okay, and if it suspends your RC, then you are no more liable to, okay, make taxable supplies or file returns. Understand? Okay. Acha, now understand that with effect from which date does suspension get triggered. So when it comes to, okay, the RP wala case. So if RP, understand, if registered person cancels, right, the effective date will be date of date of submission or date from which cancellation is sought. Date of submission of application. So for example, in my case, when I said that 1/4 I want to cancel, so applied for cancellation when 1/4, but I said, but from 5/4 I want the cancellation to happen. So I've applied on 1/4, but I said that I want 4-5 days to figure out certain things, right? Remove my old stock and just make sure there is no stock at the time of cancellation, right? Simple, give me 4-5 days. So 5/4 से आप cancellation कर देना. So in that case, cancellation is applied on 1/4, but the cancellation is sought for with effect from 5/4. So in that case, whichever is later, so 5/4 will be the date when suspension happens, and later it is revoked and then cancellation happens. Is that very clear? Correct. Okay, so that is the case. Okay, perfect. So that is the case, my dear friends. I hope that is very, 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 very clear. Very, very, very clear. Very, very, very clear. Okay, correct, whichever is later. But when it comes to these two cases, my dear friends, okay, when it comes to these two cases, when RC is cancelled either by proper officer or either when proper officer finds significant anomalies between 1 and 2B and 3B, right? In that case, government says that in that case, the suspension date will be as per the whims and fancies of proper officer, whatever it deems him fit. Whatever deems him fit. Got it? Only in case where the registered person himself asks for RC under 29(1 is date of submission of application or date when cancellation is sought, whichever is later. Remember this, there are good chances that this will be asked in the exam because there is a specification here that this is the date, right? Acha, what can you not do? The consequences I've already written, okay, in the third part. And in the fourth part, let's say what happens, guys, when any order having effect of revocation of suspension of RC has been passed, the provisions of 31(3)(a. Can anyone remember 31(3)(a)? Yes, it is revised tax invoice. And section 40 in relation to supplies made during the suspension. So frankly, what here happens is that, I'll explain you this when we do section 30, जो second ही है. Let me explain you the fourth part with section 30 here. Okay, we will keep that pending. Okay, that's it. So guys, I hope you all understand that in section 29 we understood the reasons of cancellation under 29(1), registered person himself. Under 29(2) and rule 21, it's the proper officer. If you do a certain contravention, you are subject to definitely what, my dear friends? Okay, cancellation of RC. Now understand one thing, my dear friends, very clearly, very clearly, that you should know the procedure of registration, that what happens when RP cancels and what happens when proper officer cancels. That we have done here in procedure for cancellation. Okay, and then what is suspension? What are the consequences of suspension? When does suspension get triggered, right? In which cases and with effect from which date suspension occurs? All those are extremely important information. And yeah, what happens? What are the consequences of suspension? Okay, that's all. Frankly, I have made it extremely structured, guys, and there should be absolutely no room for confusion when you are reading this, right? Do you all agree? Do you all agree, guys? Do you all agree? Do you all agree, guys? Is it clear, guys? Is it clear? Sneha, Kesarla, we have Shiva Shakti, we have Harshita. At least 4 people I can figure out. Who are the other 2? I want all the 6 of them to reply. I want all the 6 of them to reply. Come on, guys. I have taught you all in a very structured format, right? This, right? Yes, okay. It should be very clear, guys. It should be damn clear. Okay, correct. And now comes last but not the least, my dear friends, section 30. I don't know whether it's likely or not, but at least I feel this part can be likely to be, this part is very likely to be asked. Let's see then. The procedural part. But you never know. You never know the institute. When it comes to section 30. When it comes to section 30, guys, and when I talk about revocation of cancellation, read with rule 23. You need to understand first the procedure of it. That when will you actually apply for revocation? And understand, revocation will only happen when proper officer has cancelled your RC and not when you have yourself applied for it. Got it? Okay, only when proper officer has cancelled for RC. Okay? Perfect. So when it comes to, my dear friends, section 30, revocation of cancellation of RC, revocation of cancellation of RC, right? In this case, what will happen? Tell me. Very simple. Very simple, guys. That in this case, when RC is cancelled by proper officer, suo motu, right? Suo motu. Now your RC is cancelled. Why? Because you must have done any of the contraventions above. So you have 30 days. You have 30 days to apply for revocation. And plead the proper officer, please reconsider your decision and revoke the cancellation order and reinstate my RC. Now that 30 days can be extended by additional commissioner or joint commissioner, 30 days, and commissioner by another 30 days. Okay. तो एडिशनल क्या, सॉरी, असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर है, असिस्टेंट कमिश्नर और जॉइंट कमिश्नर 30 days and commissioner 30 days. So this can be elongated to 90 days, 30 plus 30 plus 30. Now you've made the application in REG 21. If proper officer is satisfied and you have valid reasons that your RC shall be revoked, then simple. Okay, simple. Revocation order will be issued. But when your proper officer is not satisfied, in that case, understand one thing: you will issue SCN. Within 7 days. Okay. So understand, the application has come to me, I am the proper officer, and if I am not satisfied with the arguments that you have given, I will give you 7 working days that show me the cause why your revocation application should not be rejected. Show me the cause. I gave you 7 days. You will reply to me. Okay. Simple. You will issue within 7 working days. You will reply to me, and you will reply to me within 7 days. Okay. You will reply to me. Okay. Within 7 days. And within 30 days, proper officer will tell me that whether he is satisfied with my reply or not. If he is satisfied, he will revoke. If he is not satisfied, he will not revoke, and your application shall be rejected. Is that very clear? ठीक है. हाँ, इसमें करेक्शन कर दो. Okay. So if he is not satisfied, the application will be rejected, and if he is satisfied, then revocation order will only directly be issued. Okay. Now there are two aspects. Understand, and here I am only focusing this entire thing of retrospective effect and prospective effect. Understand, will only and only come when your RC is cancelled due to non-filing of returns. समझा? तो when your RC is cancelled due to non-filing of returns, नहीं किया है फाइल, उसकी वजह से कैंसिल हुआ है, then in that case, my dear friends, understand one thing. In that case, my dear friends, understand one thing, right? There are two things that will happen. Okay, your cancellation can be either on prospective basis, or your cancellation of RC can either be on the basis of retrospective. Okay, now what is prospective, what is retrospective, what is prospective, what is retrospective? Okay, let's see. When it comes to prospective, guys, right, when it comes to prospective, what is our take, and when it comes to retrospective, what is our take? Let's try and understand. Okay, when it comes to prospective, right, so when the cancellation is done on prospective basis, what happens here? I'll tell you. Listen. Okay, focus on the diagram now. Let's say from April to September, okay, you have not filed returns. Okay, from April to September you have not filed returns. From April to September you have not filed returns, my dear friends. What will happen? What will happen? Tell me, my dear friends. Okay, very, very, very simple. Okay, now on 110 itself, after 6 months, right, of continuous filing of non-filing of returns, your RC is cancelled. Right, now your RC is cancelled. Understand one thing, with effect from 110 itself, that means it is prospective basis. ठीक है, that means it is prospective basis. ठीक है. Now understand one thing, my dear friends. Understand one thing that needs to categorically understand and change is that my RC is cancelled from 110 itself. Right? Now, as soon as I get my RC cancelled, I get money, my RC is cancelled, sorry. I don't get my RC cancelled, my RC is cancelled. Within 30 days, I will apply. Pen गिर गया था, sorry friends. Within 30 days, I will apply for revocation, right? So let's say, what happened to this? What happened? What the hell? These Apple products are so freaking expensive, no friends? What should I tell you? वेरी एक्सपेंसिव दिया है। अरे भाई क्या हुआ तेरे को? ओके okay, so let's say on 30th of October, I apply for revocation. अरे यार, what happened to this? Right, I applied for revocation certificate. ठीक है, correct. I applied for revocation certificate. Now understand one thing, that I've applied for revocation, but understand, when I'm applying for revocation, on what basis will I apply? Okay, on what basis will I apply, and on what basis will the opposite person accept my revocation application? Only on one condition: whatever bad I have done, I have to do good to that. So what bad did I do? I did not file returns. Now I will file returns. Now I will file returns, friends. Okay, and once I file returns within 30 days, let's say on 1/12, my cancellation order is revoked. Understood? My cancellation order is revoked. Okay, correct. ठीक. Now understand one thing, guys. Understand very clearly, guys, that your cancellation order is revoked from the date of 1/4/110. Got it? From 110. समझा? तो बहुत जरूरी है ये जानना that, ठीक है, understand that when it was cancelled also, it was suspended and later cancelled with effect from 110. Now the revocation order of cancellation will also be with effect from 110 only. So now understand, from 110 to 112 I must have been a cancelled person, unregistered person. So whatever supplies I must have done, will I charge GST? No, I will be acting as an unregistered person only because I was cancelled with effect from 110. So government says from 110, seriously something wrong with this. From 110 to 112, that is the date when RC was cancelled, the date when a revocation order is issued. Got it? from 110 to 112, from 110 to 112, from 110 to 112. All the supplies that have been made, government would want GST on that, and you also have to file returns on that. So when will you file return? Okay, within 30 days from the date of grant of RC. From the date of grant of RC. Is that very clear, guys? Perfect. 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 ठीक है. So prospective effect में क्या है, my dear friends? Returns for pending period to be filed before applying for revocation. Right? Is that point very clear? So date from which returns not furnished up to date of grant of RC, you will have to file returns. Right? April to September. Then from date of cancellation of RC to date of revocation order. Right? यहाँ पे जो सप्लाईज नहीं हो पाए हैं, सॉरी यहाँ पे जो सप्लाईज हो पाए हैं, सो ऑल द सप्लाईज दैट हैव हैपेंड हियर, you will pay tax on that, you will file return on that within 30 days from the date of grant of RC. Okay, within 30 days from the date of grant of RC. Date of grant of revocation of cancellation certificate. Got it? So within 30 days, यहाँ से. Got it? Perfect. Next. Okay, next, my dear friends, is retrospective. So in retrospective, my dear friends, what will happen is same case but little different. April to September. Again, did I file returns? No, non-filing of returns. Right? Okay, non-filing of returns. On 1st October, guys, what did I do? Cancel RC, but with effect from 1st April. So here it was with effect from 110. तो 110 को आरसी कैंसिल किया, 110 को ही क्या है प्रोस्पेक्टिव बेसिस पे वी हैव कैंसल्ड द आरसी, बट हियर वी हैव कैंसल्ड द आरसी ऑन 110 बट इट इज विथ इफेक्ट फ्रॉम 1/4. इट इज विथ इफेक्ट फ्रॉम 1/4. ठीक है, करेक्ट. नाउ अंडरस्टैंड दैट व्हेन on 111, let's say I am 3110, chalo. Let's say I am applying for revocation order. Let's say if I am applying for revocation order. Let's say if I am applying for revocation order. Let's say if I am applying for revocation order. Let's say I am applying for revocation order. Correct? Array correct? Array correct? So if I apply for revocation order, my dear friends, understand one thing. Understand one thing. I cannot file returns from April to September. I cannot do this here. Why? Because my RC is cancelled not with effect from 110 but with effect from 1 April. So that period will be disabled. That period will be disabled. Got it? Yes. Now the concept is very simple, my dear friends, that once you're done with this, okay, your application will be reviewed, and let's say on 1/11 your revocation order is passed. Your revocation order is passed. Now at this juncture, understand, within 30 days, what government expects from you is that you will file returns all the way from 1/4 to 1/11. That is date when the cancellation came into effect up to the date of grant of RC. Right? So पूरा period जो है यहाँ से लेके यहाँ तक, you will file the returns all together at once. At once. Here you are filing it in two parts. Here you are filing it in two parts. One was here at the time of applying. You could file because April to September was not disabled, because the cancellation was with effect from 1/10 and not 1/4. And the second returns I filed here, cancellation order is revoked उसके बाद within 30 days. For which period? From 1/10 to 1/12. 1/10 to 1/12. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. So it's just the matter of when are you filing returns. In prospective basis, it is in two parts, while applying and then after revocation order is issued. And here the entire period is covered after a revocation order is issued. Simple. Okay, that's it. I've also clearly mentioned that, my dear friends, here itself, so don't worry. DOREV is date of revocation. ठीक है. Done hai friends? That's it. So we are now clearly done with revocation, and we end our discussion here with respect to registration certificate. Okay, all I want to tell you all is, my friends, that now we are heading to supply chapter 7 subsection 2. We will take a good 10-minute break and then we will go ahead. Okay, so freshen up, have your breakfast, whatever you want to do you, and then we will wrap up this page and wrap up supply also. Okay, done guys, come back. Shravantika, the difference between suspension and revocation is so simple. Whenever I do any of the things which are mentioned in 29.2, right, I don't file returns, I fraudulently take RC, whatever the case may be, that is a reason for cancellation. But before cancellation there is suspension. First your RC is suspended, then your RC is cancelled. As soon as your RC is cancelled, your suspension is taken back and your revocation order is and your cancellation order is issued, and it is replaced by cancellation. Because understand one thing, that the reason why suspension ka concept was introduced is 1/4 I have applied for cancellation, or 1/4 proper officer has said that okay, show me the cause why your RC should not be cancelled. So understand, while even cancellation happens by the end of proper officer, they don't directly cancel, they first give me show cause notice. So ideally when the show cause notice is issued, from there itself my RC is suspended. and then I give reply, and then they will review my reply. That will take time, right? So what will happen between that period, right? And what if my reply is not satisfactory? It will lead to cancellation. So up till that time, from the date of issue of show cause notice up to the date of cancellation of my RC, that entire period ideally is what? Suspension. And then in which period, by the way, I cannot make any supplies which are taxable, I cannot file any returns. And then cancellation order is passed, right? So first suspension, then cancellation. Now, once my RC is cancelled, okay, understand, government has given me still one more opportunity to get back my registration, and that is with the help of revocation. Well, I am again making an application within 30 days of my RC getting cancelled that please revoke this cancellation, please take it back, right? And if I do the necessary things that makes my application satisfactory and I have a valid reason why my RC should be reinstated, the revocation order will be issued. Is that very clear? Yes. Okay. So come back, guys, come back by 9:30. Okay, friends, I am back. We are back. Okay. Anand mera, love mera, परितोष को बता पिन कोड तेरा. Okay. Yes, that song has got so viral. No, yeah. And the Hindi version of that is even more exciting. Nonsense, whatever, कुछ भी बोल दे, Indians can do anything. Okay, nonetheless. Friends, when I talk about section 7 subsection 2, okay, understand one thing. We are talking now about cases which are not a supply, right? Cases which are not a supply, right? So if it is not a supply, it will not be subject to GST. If it is not a supply, it will not be subject to GST. So the first of all that comes out to be employer-employee relationship, okay, where employee is giving service to employer and in return he is getting what? Consideration. Government has said that this is not a supply. So if you get any consideration either in the form of salary, it can be in the form of salary, bonus, right, pension, premature termination, perquisites, anything, it is not a supply. Simple. It is not a supply. Right? Second, non-compete fees. So here what happens is, understand friends, non-compete fees is generally between a transaction between ex-employee and ex-employer, where this guy refrain from doing an act and this guy gives non-compete fees. So understand that now I'm no more an employer. Now I'm no more an employee of my employer. It's an ex हो गया वो मेरा. So am I falling under the ambit of, is this consideration received to me during the course of employment? No. During the course of employment? No. ठीक है. Third, directors. Okay, obviously it will be subject to GST. And the last is directors. Directors, we've already done this. There's executive director, there's non-executive director. Executive director, okay, withdraws salary and his TDS deducted under section 192. So clearly, employer-employee relationship exists. It is not a supply. Non-executive director, okay, comes to the board meeting, takes his seating fees and gets lost. In that case, his TDS is deducted under section 194J, right? Employer-employee relationship is not shared clearly. This is a supply, and in this case, where director is providing service to body corporate pays tax as per RCM. Hope you remember it, friends, right? Next, fees paid to court, tribunal, high court, supreme court. Simple. The filing fees that you pay to register your case, not a supply. No GST will be charged here. Okay. Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission. Now again, here, though the ending here is neither a tribunal nor a high court, supreme court, right? Neither it is court or neither it is a tribunal. Still, government said that the characteristics of Consumer Dispute Redressal Commission is that of tribunal, and hence it is not a supply. Acha, arbitral tribunal, clearly it's a private court, you can say, and which is why in legal service we could also see, my dear friends, the tax implication of the same, where in most of the cases it was RCM and in other cases it was exempt. Correct? Yes. Right. Next is, my dear friends, actionable claims. So actionable claims, the last time we heard was when we did the definition of goods. So in the definition of goods, we said that all movable property, including actionable claim, excluding money and securities. So firstly, is actionable claim goods? Yes. Now understand, there are two types of it. One is unsecured debt and the other is lottery, betting and gambling. Lottery, betting and gambling is still subject to GST because it is outside the purview of 7.2. So lottery, betting and gambling, though it's an actionable claim, but it is clearly outside the ambit of section 7.2, okay, which is why it is a supply subject to GST. But unsecured debt, my dear friends, classic example of unsecured debt is, let's say I have sold goods to Sneha and she gives me a bills receivable which I want to go and discount it with the bank. Now when I am selling that bill receivable to the bank and getting money, that transaction will not be subject to GST, right? Because that transaction is already subject to GST when I had sold goods to Sneha, right? So unsecured debts, classic example is your debtors, clearly it is not a supply and hence no GST shall apply. Correct? Yes. That's it. Okay. Now, before we do the 6th and the 8th, let me come back to this. First, let me just do the 9th part. So, functions performed by MP, MLA, member of Panchayat. This is Panchayat. This is C here. Member of Panchayat, local authority. So, they get a certain remuneration to act as an MP, to act as an MLA, to act as a member of Panchayat, right? Because that is also a duty that needs to be done, that needs to be carried out. No GST on that. Duties performed by any person who holds a constitutional position, like Prime Minister, CGI, that is Chief Justice of India, Comptroller, Auditor General, President. These are all holding a constitutional position, my dear friends. Understand, they get a remuneration for the same. 2 lakh, 3 lakh rupees per month, aisa kuch hai. No GST on that. And the last, duties performed by person as a chairperson or director of any body established by either central government, state government or local authority. Again, the remuneration that you get is not subject to GST. It's not a supply, right? Acha, 10th wala kya hai? Funeral, burial, crematorium, mortuary. Funeral, burial, crematorium, mortuary. Funeral and crematorium is done by Hindu people, burial is done by Muslims and Christians, And mortuary is basically that morgue, okay, which is a department, my dear friends, in hospitals where all the unclaimed dead bodies are kept. Is that very clear? Yes, sir. And apart from that, definitely, my dear friends, there is transportation of deceased person. There is transportation of deceased person. Now, what do you mean by transportation of deceased person, my dear friends? Transportation of dead person. So, hospital se shamshan, shamshan se hospital. No, beta, it's not the other way around. It is only one way, not the other way. Okay? It is not a supply. Okay? Acha, quick question. Transportation of dead person and transportation of patient. Tell me what will happen in this case. What will happen in this case? What will happen in case of transportation of dead person? What will happen in case of transportation of patients? So in dead person, it is not a supply. Under section 7.2. But in case of transportation of patients, okay, understand it is exempt, as it is a healthcare service. Okay, as it is a healthcare service. क्या बात है निकिता, बजाज उठ गए आज. Very good. Yes. So please, I would just request you to write this down, so that anytime there is a adjustment that is asked, you write the right reasoning. You just don't land up saying no GST. No, why there is no GST? Is it because it is exempt supply, or is it not a supply altogether? Got it? Because understand, transportation of patient satisfies section 7.1a, because you are supplying goods or service for a consideration in the course of business. So it is a supply, but it is then exempt supply. Government is exempted from GST. Okay? But my dear friends, when it comes to dead person, it is not a supply altogether. So the taxable event does not get triggered only. Got it? That's it. Right? Next. Okay, let's say if CGSG UTLA is giving any service which is given as a function under article 243G and 243W. Now how to remember this? Very simple. Municipality M, do it ulta W. Got it? And the other will be G, obviously. So panchayat, it will be G, and municipality, it will be W. Okay? So any services, if they are giving to the citizens of India, like as I said, slum redevelopment, building canals, right, or roads or bridges or schools, all of that is not a supply. And in case they take services in relation to that from a contractor, if it's a pure service, exempt. If it is a composite supply where the goods compound is not exceeding 25%, again it is exempt. We have done this part in exemption, guys. Okay, you can refer exemption ka entry number 3 and 3A. Right? Correct. It is in government service. Okay. Next is sale of land and building. Sale of land and building is not a supply. And with respect to building, they are clearly mentioning here, what they clearly mean is that all that consideration which is received after CC or OC will fall here. It is not a supply. Acha, now there is a small note to be taken care of, which says that listen, if you have, understand, if you have taken any services by the way of leveling the land and building, putting in drainage system, anything of that sort, right, and that is the kind of leveled land and building you are selling it off, again it is still land and building, it will not be a supply. doesn't matter it is leveled or not leveled, doesn't matter if there is any drainage system or not. What it itself is an immovable property, not a supply, and the services obviously will be subject to GST here, but obviously you will not get the ITC of the same. Okay, so that is what I was saying. Land and building can be sold with or without development like leveling, laying drainage or water lines. So it doesn't matter whether that land and building is with these amenities, is with these facilities or not. If it is good, if it doesn't matter. It is still not a supply. And if you are taking any service for this, obviously that is subject to GST, but the person who owns that land and building will not get the ITC. Okay, that's it. Okay. Yeah. This is a very funny thing, guys. Interstate movement of various conveyances between distinct person. So if you remember, in distinct person we did something related to branch. So DMart Mumbai selling goods, doing stock transfer to DMart Ahmedabad. DMart Mumbai doing stock transfer to DMart Ahmedabad. Do you realize that there is goods without consideration? Yes. In the course of business, yes. Between distinct person, yes. It is deemed supply. So the goods that I am sending is a deemed supply. Right? But understand that the goods which are going in that truck is also a goods. So the question came that if you are sending that truck from Mumbai to Ahmedabad branch, which comes back again you are not charging any consideration for the SAT. Again, it is goods and it is in the course of business. Even that truck, that 10 lakh rupees will be subject to GST. So the truck that is actually making the movement from one branch to another, even that is subject to GST. So the goods in the truck is subject to GST, deemed supply under 7(1)(c), but the truck in which the goods are going is also subject to GST. That's how absurd the interpretation was. Government said nothing doing. When it comes to that truck which is taking those goods from one branch to another branch, that is not interstate supply, that is sheer interstate movement, and hence it is not a supply. Got it? Yes. Okay. So the comment is on the conveyance, not on anything else. Okay. Acha. Also remember one thing, my dear friends, that if I want to open a wine shop, okay, if I want to open a wine shop and sell liquor. So selling liquor, is it subject to GST? No, because it is excluded from 9(1), except alcoholic liquor for human consumption. So when I'm selling liquor, I cannot charge GST. So what happened is that the wine owners realized that, listen, the wine shop realized that when I am selling liquor, I actually do not charge GST. But while I am purchasing the liquor license, which is clearly not the same as selling the liquor. Okay, so one is Daru and one is Daru ka license. So Daru ka license was subject to GST. For which wine shop will never get the ITC. And understand that the buying a liquor license is a very expensive affair. It goes in crores. So let's say 2 crores है liquor license का भाव, उस पे जो GST आता है that will be in lakhs. So उसका ITC नहीं मिलता था वाइन शॉप वालों को. वाइन शॉप owners were like, what the hell, what I'm selling is subject to VAT or not GST, but what my input tax is GST. I will not get ITC. It's a big cost to me. Do something, government, do something. So all the state governments requested the central government that do something. This is the kind of lobby these guys are making, and you need to do something on this. And which is why government said, okay, fine, whenever a state government is issuing liquor license to any wine shop owner, let's do one thing. Let's declare it not a supply under section 7.2, and obviously that will not be subject to GST. So if there is no GST, there is no question of input tax, because supplier is not charging any GST to the recipient. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Okay. So yeah, grant of liquor license 7.2, not a supply. Okay, perfect. This is all good. Now you only need to understand 6, 7 and 8. Okay, now this is with respect to customs. Customs Act 6, 7 and 8. Okay, now what is it exactly? What is 6, 7, 8? What is 6, 7, 8? Understand? So for example, okay, Mr. Modi of India tells Mr. Biden of USA, okay, orders Mr. Biden of USA to deliver goods to Mr. Putin of Russia. Okay, so Modi has told Biden, then Biden do one thing, send the goods, deliver goods to Mr. Putin of Russia, right? So understand, the movement of goods here is from Mr. B to Mr. P, from US to Russia. Do you realize that the movement of goods here starts from a place outside India, which we call non-taxable territory, and it also ends, okay, where it is a non-taxable territory. So the entire destination of goods is outside India. How can we collect tax on this? Because tax can be collected, GST can be collected only when the destination is in India. Here the origination is also outside India and termination is also outside India, and the entire movement is happening without entering India. Got it? Without entering India. And which is why, my dear friends, in this case the concept is very simple. Okay, government said that here, by the way, who will bill whom here? Who will bill whom here? So B will bill Mr. Modi and Modi will bill Mr. Putin. Neither of the transactions will be subject to GST, because very simple, my dear friends, the transaction originated from non-taxable territory and terminated to non-taxable territory without entering India. Without entering India. Without entering India. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Okay. Now, the seventh part. Seventh part, my dear friend, says that, listen, this is USA, this is India, and there is Indian warehouse. So this is US custom port, this is Indian custom port, and this is Indian warehouse. So a lot of times when an importer wants to purchase goods, he need to order sometimes a minimum order quantity that is specified by the supplier. So here, let's say if he wants 10,000 units, and if the supplier says no, 10,000 is not the minimum order, my order is 20,000. So here understand, the importer will need 20,000 units eventually, but not now. So why should he block his capital? Correct? It's a good reason. But understand, if he does not block it, he will not be even able to order the 10,000 units, because the supplier of US has specifically mandated that if you want to buy from me, you can only order 20,000 units. That will only be viable for me to sell. Very simple. I said, okay, fine, done. Now understand that my factory only has 10,000 units of space. My factory only has a space where 10,000 units can be stored. My factory has only that much of space where 10,000 units can be stored. But I have bought 20,000. Where will I take? Government said, I have an option. You take those 10,000 units to Indian custom warehouse. Okay, where obviously the custom officer is there to supervise. You take 10,000 units here, and 10,000 units you take it to your factory, right? So whatever you are taking to the factory, you will have to pay duty at the port. And whatever you are taking into the custom warehouse, you have to pay the duty when you take it outside the custom warehouse, right? So अगर आपको क्या है, custom port से अपने फैक्ट्री लेके जाना है, then you pay duty here, right? When you take it right from the port. But if you want to take the goods from custom port to custom warehouse because your factory does not have enough space to store, and then from there to the factory, then you will not pay the duty here. It will be deferred when you remove the goods from the warehouse and clear it for home consumption, right? Home consumption is that now it will get consumed in the factory, in the manufacturing process, and it will eventually be sold in India, and which is why it is home consumption. Home consumption is where the importer home belongs, the consumption happens there, right? So you have cleared it for home consumption. So you can clear it for home consumption only after paying duty. So you can take from port to your factory only when you file a bill of entry for home consumption and pay duty accordingly, right? Yes. Now understand one thing, my dear friends. I have taken the goods in custom warehouse. Now what happens is, I will need them only after 6 months. I will need them only after 6 months. So what happened is, Nikita came to me. Sir, I really want these goods and I have got the information that you already have that in the warehouse. You can sell me at a profit and I can buy it from you because I urgently need it. I urgently need it. Okay. So what happens is, I sell that to Miss Nikita. Now this sale is happening in India only because custom warehouse is in India. So this sale is in India. So obviously I will land up charging GST to Nikita. I will land up charging GST to Nikita. So Nikita will also land up paying GST for the first time from her own pocket. From her own pocket. Okay. Now understand. Now who is the owner of the goods? Nikita. Correct? So now Nikita wants to clear goods for home consumption. So now who will pay the duty? Nikita. Now when it comes to payment of duty, do you remember what does an importer have to pay when he wants to clear goods for home consumption from the custom station? Two taxes and duties. Tell me which are they. Tell me which are they. We learned this in the first chapter. Tell me what will an importer pay now, right now, if he wants to clear the goods from customs port? Tell me. he will pay two things. Article 269A में कुछ लिखा था. That's so correct. That's so correct, Nikita. Lovely. BCD and IGST. BCD and IGST. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. 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 Are you getting it? Yes. Okay. So do you realize that Nikita here will again land up paying GST? तो एक यहाँ पे हो गया और एक यहाँ पे हो गया. ठीक है. ठीक है. Okay, guys. So what government said is that here Nikita has to land up paying GST twice. Once when I'm selling it to her and once when she clears goods. So that is incorrect. So government said this is what we will do. That Mr. Karan, when you are selling the goods to Nikita in the warehouse, before clearing it for home consumption, simple, we will consider this transaction as not a supply. And hence GST shall not apply. Correct? That's what is written here. That if supplier sells goods to recipient before home consumption in the warehouse, it is not a supply. It is not a supply under section 7 subsection 2. Is that very clear, my dear friends? Yes. Okay. Perfect. And the last is 8th. What will happen here, guys? So if you are doing high seas sales, what do you mean by high seas? So for example, understand, this is India. So this is 12 nautical miles. Okay. And from there, exclusive economic zone is 200 nautical miles. So this is entirely India up till here. तो लैंड मास तो है ही, बट ये वाटर भी इंडिया ही अप टू 200 nautical miles. So anything beyond this, so let's say if my boat is here, this is high seas beyond 200 nautical miles. And why, when my ship was here, that is the time, let's say I have sold it to Kesarla. So Karan has sold it to Kesarla. So if I transferred the document of title while my ship was on the high seas, in that case, again, is that transaction happening in India? No, not a supply. ठीक है, ये केस था. So these are all the cases, my dear friends, that I have explained you with respect to 7 subsection 2, which is not a supply, not a supply, not a supply. ठीक है, schedule 3. And now comes the last part, my dear friends. Few clarifications. Clarification number 1. Understand, when a publisher has secured the right from the author to publish a book. So for example, Chetan Bhagat, right? He has written a book, but he does not have the bandwidth that he can actually print 1 million copies. He does not have his own press. So he goes to taxman and he says that Mr. Chetan Bhagat, listen, Taxman Limited, do one thing, please publish my book. Taxman Limited, do one thing, please publish my book, right? Now the thing is very clear, my dear friends. Right? that author giving copyright to publisher. Publisher now has the right to publish those 1 million copies. Now where is the distribution coming from? The distribution will come from the bookstore. So the question is, what transaction is happening between publisher and the bookstore? What is he giving? Goods or service? Obviously beta, वो book publish होके वो book ही बेचेगा ना. He will sell books only, and which is why whatever the publisher and the book are dealing with is not service, it is goods. Because I am selling a book, I am selling a book to the bookstore, that these are 1 lakh books, go and sell it off. If you sell it, you will get 20% margin. If not, then return it back to me. Is that very clear? Yes. So the confusion was with respect to publisher and bookstore. Okay. So they are indulging into which transaction? Sale of books, right? Supply of books. That is basically nothing else but supply of goods. Okay. Sir, then what will happen with respect to author and publisher? Depends. If that copyright is a temporary transfer, it is supply of service. If it is permanent transfer, it is supply of goods, because we have done something like this in transfer of intellectual property rights. Transfer of intellectual property rights. Temporary है तो service, permanent है तो goods. Yes or no, friends? Yes. Okay. And the last is, my dear friends, section 8. Very, 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 very important. Bolo, very, 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 very important. Okay. Section 8. Composite supply or mixed supply. Now understand one thing, my dear friends. If you want to classify yourself as composite supply, you need to make sure that there are 2 or more goods, 2 or more service, or goods and service, and they should be naturally bundled. If this happens, it's a composite supply. And in that case, it is the principal supply rate that you will take into consideration. So for example, mobile plus charger is for 10,000 rupees. You will take mobile ka rate and apply mobile ka rate on 10,000, right? For example, if there is a hotel accommodation service, plus there is complimentary breakfast in their restaurant, and they charge you 5,000 rupees per night, the rate that you will multiply is that of a hotel, because the principal supply is hotel, right? So a lot of examples like that, right? That is composite supply, where it is naturally bundled. There is nothing extraordinary that you are doing. You are always giving 2 goods to service, or 1 goods or service, always together. It's an industry practice, right? But when it comes to mixed supply, okay, understand here, 2 or more goods or service are bundled, but these are artificially bundled. So this is not an industry practice. You have done something at your own end, and most importantly, it should have a single price, right? Now this condition of single price is very important, so make sure that you underline it as many as times as you can possibly do. Single price, artificially bundled. Now why is single price important? Because understand, for example, there is something like toothbrush, plus toothpaste. Right? You are getting that for 100 rupees. Now it's an artificially bundled thing. So I am not given an individual breakup. I am only given 100 rupees. Simple. So government is now thinking which rate to apply. Because there are two goods. This is subject to 12 and this is subject to 18. Now what should I apply on 100? Because I don't even have the individual bifurcation. Agar individual bifurcation hota, let's say toothpaste 50, toothbrush 50, to 50 multiplied by 12, 50 multiplied by 18. Correct? Yes. But here I have one price but two rates. One price but two rates. Now which rate should I apply to that one price? So government said take the highest rate. Right? Take the highest rate, 18%. But understand, if this happens, if there is toothbrush, if there is toothpaste, 50-50, and then there is 100. Now, this is not a classic example of mixed supply. This is not an example of mixed supply because is there single price? No. There is bifurcation of price. Got it? So this will be subject to 12. This will be subject to 18. Is that very clear? Is that very clear? Yes. So focus the fact that even if it is artificially bundled, it should have single price. Only then section 8 will trigger, only then the concept of mixed supply will apply. Otherwise, it's absolutely of no use, my dear friends. Section 8 will not apply, highest rate concept will not apply, take the individual rates. I want you to, solve a classic example for this, guys. Okay, with respect to supply, I really want you all to solve this. If you have my Q&A, you can refer question number 8, and also you can write question number 5. Question number 5 here. Just give reference of that. Especially in mixed supply, write this question number 5. I need to do this from Karan sir's Q&A. Chalo, tell me the answer of this. What will happen here? Dandam Electronics has sold the following electronic items to Akbar Retail: refrigerator 18%, stabilizer 12%, LED 12%, split air 28%, stabilizer for air conditioner 12%. Right? Just let me tell you, stabilizer is basically an equipment which if you insert it in your refrigerator or AC, as soon as the light goes off, there is still power stored here and your AC or refrigerator will continue to work for certain amount of time, which is enough for you to bring back the light so that it can again go on autopilot. Right? So for that temporary period where the ghar ka electricity is not there, they will provide the electricity and do the work of being a stabilizer. Now they are generally not given with the AC or with the refrigerator. It's something separately that I have to purchase. Okay, just giving you an information. So here what happened is they issued a single invoice. So they made a single invoice and they wrote down all these items, indicating price of each of the above item separately in the same. Got it? Akbar Retail has given a check of 1 lakh rupees for all the items as a composite discounted price. State the type of supply and rate of tax. Tell me, is it a case of mixed supply or composite supply? Tell me what will happen, guys. Yes, it is neither of them. It is neither composite nor neither composite nor compo. Why, my dear friends? Composite तो है ही नहीं because वो साथ में नहीं दिया जाता. It is not given together. It is neither mix supply because there is no single price involved. Individual pricing is already given and they will be subject to that, to GST rates given individually. And they will not be subject to a highest rate of tax. Got it, guys? अभी ये कर ही रहे हैं तो help me with this. Help me with this. Eight marker question, May 23. Let's see what you thought then and how you think now. Geno Enterprises, a partnership firm, is a regular taxable person registered in Guwahati, Assam, and is engaged in supply of air conditioner and its accessories. Details are given as follows. Intra-state supply of air conditioners to customers in Assam. Freight is separately charged in invoices for delivery of goods at customers' doorstep. So I am arranging, as a supplier, I am arranging the entire transport, and apart from selling the goods, also transporting it. So there is goods ka value is 4 lakh and freight is 1 lakh. I want an answer on this. Let's break the question and then answer it one by one. What will happen here? And is this a composite supply, mixed supply, or individual rates will apply? Tell me. Tell me, Nikita, what will happen here? Tell me, Sneha. We have done this in value of supply. Classic example, Nikita, so proud of you, beta. 5 lakhs is a composite supply because we've done this in 15(2)(c), my dear friends. We've done this in 15(2)(c). It's a composite supply when you're supplying goods and also giving transportation service. It's a classic case of composite supply. Second, intrastate supply of repairing services from charging service charges. Cost of parts provided to customers is also charged as a consideration for the same, separately mentioned in the invoice. So understand that I had come to repair something. Understand that I had come to repair something at your place, and what has happened is that it also required certain parts, okay, while I was repairing, right? Happens, right? There are certain things where you need to fix them, so you need to use those parts and components, which I had also bought in because I knew that there will be some leakage or something like that, so might as well carry those parts and apply it so that the job is done there and there. Now tell me, it's a composite supply or a mixed supply? The second one. So I am a repairer, and apart from repairing, I am also putting some screwdrivers and few nut bolts here and there. It's a composite supply or a mixed supply? It's a composite supply, Nikita, understand. When I am repairing something, I will need some or the other part to be fixed, right? Understand, the repairing will always be accompanied with some or the other parts. So if there is a person who comes to your place for AC repairing, you know, he will put some material, some oiling he will do, some nut bolt he will fit. Understand, it's a composite supply. It's a very simple case. And obviously principal rate लगेगा. Last third वाला क्या होगा? It is a composite supply की सरला. Come on यार, why can't, how can you not judge this? Third बताओ. Correct, it's a mixed supply, so you will multiply 20,000 with 10, that is 2 lakhs, and 2 lakhs पे you will take highest rate. तो स्टेबलाइजर या एयर कंडीशनर जिसका भी रेट हाईएस्ट है, किसका रेट हाईएस्ट है? एयर कंडीशनर का इट्स 12% एंड स्टेबलाइजर का 18, so you will multiply it with 18%. That was an 8 marker question, so simple guys, you could have done that. अच्छा, do one thing. Can you help me solve this? Mr. Jayesh, a registered supplier in Mumbai, received the following amounts. Tell me what will happen in the first case. He received as commission as a recovery agent from NBFC. Who will pay tax here, Mr. Jayesh or the NBFC? Who will pay the tax here, friends? Come on, tell me. RCM, absolutely correct. Done. Second क्या होगा? Actionable claim received from normal business debtors. This is unsecured debt. What will happen? Is it a supply or not a supply? We just did it right now, guys. It is not a supply. Perfect. Third wala, amount received from ABC for performing a classical dance 1,74,000. So am I an artist here? Yes. Am I performing classical dance? Yes. Now is it taxable or exempt? Come on guys, it is taxable or exempt. What is the threshold limit given here in the exemptions? Come on! Is it taxable or exempt? $1,50,000 है ना यार, भूल गए क्या? 2 दिन पहले तो किया था ब्रदर. तुम लोग पढ़ नहीं रहे हो, ऐसा नहीं चलेगा. यू आर नॉट स्टडिंग गाइस. स्टॉप डिसअपॉइंटिंग मी नाउ. 1,50,000 is the limit. It is taxable. फोर्थ क्या होगा? अरे आंसर तो करो यार तुम लोग. Business asset given to friend free of cost. No ITC has been availed. It is deemed supply. 7 months ही आ जाएगा. It is taxable. Fifth, consideration received from 1 month rent from a registered individual for renting residential dwelling for residential use. Okay, this is exempt because it is, though the recipient is a registered person, but he is a person and using it for personal use, it is exempt. ठीक है. Mr. B Shyamdas was admitted to Suraksha Hospital for 2 days. Room rent 7,000. क्या होगा? Taxable या exempt? अरे T और E ही लिखना है यार, फटाफट लिखो. Taxable more than 5,000. Operation theatre charge is exempt because it is a normal healthcare service. Doctor consultation, normal healthcare service exempt. Other services which are not healthcare, something like renting or advertisement, taxable, 4,000 taxable. Okay, and that's it, my dear friends. I'll also just see what they have asked here. List any 5 activities specified under Schedule 3 of CGST Act. We just did it right now. Employer-employee relationship, फिर वो हाई कोर्ट सुप्रीम कोर्ट वाला है, फिर one non-taxable territory to another non-taxable territory without entering India, goods sold in warehouse before clearing for home consumption, funeral, burial, crematorium, transportation of deceased person, all of these things. Okay, done. I feel this is good, my dear friends. I hope you all have understood it very clearly. We've done all the cases. I hope that makes sense. Okay, that's it, my dear friends. We are done with 7 subsection 2, and also at the same time we are done with composite supply. Okay, I hope you all have got it, and I hope this was helpful to you guys. Okay, now I will be meeting you all guys after the 6th of August. We are remaining with returns and e-way bill. तो एक जो है I will complete on 7th or 8th, whatever the case may be, and we will wrap up GST, my dear friends. I hope you all had a good time, and I hope you all understood something. There was some value addition at my end that I was able to do, which initially you were not able to understand. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot for showering a lot of love. Please like, comment, subscribe. Means the world to me. प्लीज कमेंट कर दो यार. एक बार लेक्चर में आने से पहले लास्ट लेक्चर पे कमेंट कर दो, बहुत हेल्प हो जाएगी. ठीक है, डेबिट नोट क्रेडिट नोट मैं डाल दूंगा केसरला. डोंट वरी, आई रिमेंबर दैट. ओके, डोंट वरी, आई विल पुट अ रिकॉर्डेड लेक्चर. ठीक है, दैट्स इट माय डियर फ्रेंड्स. थैंक्स अ लॉट केसरला, थैंक्स अ लॉट निकिता, थैंक्स अ लॉट स्नेहा, बदरुल, श्रवंती, Bala, thanks a lot, guys. So, and people who are in Chennai, let's meet up, guys. I'm definitely coming. Will be great fun.